Tonight, a crucial AFC showdown between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills, with two of the best quarterbacks in the game, in Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, going up against one another for the first time in their careers. The Bills have already clinched their third straight AFC East title, and the Bengals are a win or a tie away from clinching their second consecutive AFC North title. This matchup has huge implications on the #1 seed in the AFC. The easiest path to home field advantage and first round bye for the Bills is to win out. Now, the Bengals need to win out and some help from Kansas City, while the Chiefs' easiest path to the crown would be winning next week and having the Bills lose one of their next two games. All right, Harry, I'm going to start with you on this one. Which quarterback do you think will shine more tonight, Burrow or Allen?
With Joe Grapefruit Burrow, because he's that dude, man. Joe, the man walks around with the bravado. He walks around with the moxie that I'm that guy. I know I'm that guy. My teammates know. The opposing team knows. I'm pretty sure, listen, I understand Josh Allen is Josh Allen, but I know Josh Allen's probably saying right now, I got to be better than Joe Burrow. Because one thing Joe Burrow has shown is that he's able to take his check downs. He's able to methodically work the football down the field. He's able to, not saying Josh Allen can't read defenses, but read things to a T and understand what's happening pre-snap before it actually happens. I think when you have a T. Higgins, when you have a Jamar Chase, when you have a Tyler Boyd, I think that really helps out a lot, because if the Bills want to play man coverage, which I don't think Leslie Frazier is going to do, then I think Joe Burrow is going to be able to eat up the Bills' defense in those regards. So when I look at Joe Burrow, everything about him says, baller, playmaker, I'm that guy, and this is my moment. Because he can go out here and have a hell of a showdown versus Josh Allen and the #1 seeded Bills right now, and that MVP conversation is going to get shifted one more time if he does.
Joe Cool is cool. Joe Cool is cool. But this comes down to the way that Josh Allen plays football. Because if we're talking about who is going to shine, there is nobody more exciting to watch in the National Football League, I think, at that position than Josh Allen. Joe Burrow is going to have a good game. We know that. Josh Allen, though, the way that he plays the game, he makes us hold our breath, but the way that he plays the game is so unbelievably exciting. And this is going to be a moment where he rises to the challenge and he shows off and he shows out. When you pull the numbers from these guys, in most every category, they're about neck and neck, which is interesting because Josh Allen's been hardly spoken about this season in terms of the MVP conversation, and Joe Burrow certainly has been. Of course, the one area where Burrow gets the nod over Allen is accuracy, and we know that Allen's coughed it up quite a bit this season, but he's a high-risk, high-reward player. There's nothing more exciting to watch than that. So as long as he can just protect the football some, we're going to get a more dynamic performance out of Josh Allen.
Well, first of all, Harry, Patrick Mahomes is the MVP of the NFL, okay? That is
I hear you.
Signed, sealed, and
but
delivered.
I know Joe Dan
we all agree on that,
I know Joe Dan Burrow beat him. Have a hell of a night tonight, Joe, and we'll see about that one.
I love Joe. Second of all, my answer is BOF'EM. And I'm spelling that in the way that Ryan Clark taught me how to say that. It's B-O-F with like an apostrophe E-M. BOF'EM.
That's an interesting way to do it. Yeah,
BOF'EM. I'll say, Joe, strictly because Buffalo's defense hasn't been Buffalo's defense. You know, they've given up 8 100-yard wide receiver performances this season alone. Justin Jefferson went 10 for 190. Cooper Kupp, 13 for 128. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9 for 122. Juju, 5 for 113. Amari Cooper went 8 for 113. This is just the reality that their secondary has not played up to the level. Now, Tre'Davious White was out for a little bit. Obviously, Micah Hyde has missed the great majority of this season. They've gone in and out of cornerback people. But the Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, Joe's got those guys. And if that Buffalo defense, and specifically that secondary, isn't as, one, healthy and as playing at the high level that they have expected to, or certainly that they did last year, I'm watching an offense in Cincinnati that we'll see how they counter not having their right tackle, Lyle Collins. Josh Allen and Joe Burrow are both going to play great football games. I have a little bit more faith and trust that Cincinnati's defense under Lou Anarumo is going to be a little bit more complementary to their offense. They're a massive challenge than Buffalo's defense has been playing. And because of the talent that Joe has on the perimeter across the board, I have a little bit more faith that Joe is going to shine. But I think both of them have a phenomenal game tonight.
You mentioned it there, though. Collins is not on this line anymore. This Bengals O-line's been so much better this season because of the consistency there, and all of a sudden they're not going to have that against a very good pass rush, and this Bills defense will be able to get it done and get pressure on Joe Burrow from that perspective. I mean, yes, we've seen Burrow somehow, even when he spends half the game on his back, make it to a Super Bowl, but that feels like that luck's going to run out against a very good Bills defense, at least from that perspective. I can buy the secondary argument, but I do think Collins not being there for the Bengals moving forward is a huge loss for them this season.
Yeah, I think Joe does such a great job of understanding how to play versus this opponent. Like, I think he's the best in the league right now when it comes to this is who we are, and this is who we're playing against this week, and this is what's necessary from my performance to make sure, one, we don't beat ourselves, and then two, how do we beat this team? And I think he's going to be very aware of, okay, my right tackle's out. They got a good pass rush. They're basically a heavy zone defense. Joe will be very completion-driven. He'll get the ball. It's his hands. He won't hold the ball for a long period of time. And Joe even says himself, you know, everyone makes a big deal about these sacks that Joe experiences. He also says, too, one of two things. First of all, on third down, if it's 3rd and 6 and he gets sacked for a 3 or 4 yard loss, he doesn't count that as a sack. He'd rather hold the ball and see if he can make a play. And the same thing down in the red zone. 3rd and goal from the 4 yard line, there's no point in throwing the ball away. If he could hold it and try to create and kind of generate a touchdown, if it leads to a sack and a field goal attempt, he doesn't count those as sacks. So I think he's very aware of how to play.
Sacks shouldn't be a big deal to Joe Burrow because he had, what, he 32 of them his rookie year, 51 of them last season. He's only been sacked 15 times this season. Again, that O-line has been much, much better for Cincinnati. The problem is now that lack of consistency without Collins, but he should be used to being sacked, that's for sure.
BOF'EM have combined for 78 passing and rushing touchdowns this season. That's tied for the most by opposing quarterbacks entering a matchup in NFL history. So it should be a good one.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.